Hello and what is up guys, right here and welcome back to some more automation and of course BeamNG.Drive. Today we are going to be breaking the record for the highest horsepower car possible currently in automation, the car company tycoon game. Yes, we're making the highest horsepower car possible. It's going to be a massive V16 engine with a lot of power and of course twin turbos. The car is also going to be designed and styled after a top fuel dragster because I feel like this car might as well be something absolutely insane looking. So it's going to have around 4,725 or more horsepower, which is the current record that I could find by Forgotten Mustard. I actually got inspired by this from Automotive Flux's recent video where he broke his basically record for his highest horsepower car of 2021 or ever, I guess. So I decided, you know what, let's see if we can beat Automotive Flux's, and then I took a look at the records, and I said, can we beat the record? And the answer is, we can beat the record. So let's go ahead, hop in, engineer, and design this car. We're going to drive it in BeamNG.Drive. It's going to be a rear-engine, twin-turbo V16 drag car, which is absolutely insane for a drag car, not realistic at all, but it's going to look cool. So let's hop in and design the car. Of course, carbon fiber. Now, it might not be the most realistic car ever. It's going to be extremely light for how powerful it is, and I mean very light for how powerful it is. Carbon fiber chassis material, monocoque, rear engine, longitudinal. We could go push rod. We could go push rod, but I don't think I want to. Push rod acts a bit funny in BeamNG, and I don't like it. Double wishbone front and rear is totally fine. New engine. So actually, since the engine doesn't fit in the rear engine configuration, it's going to be mid-engine. I forgot. I did test this beforehand. So it's going to be a mid-engine longitudinal, which is basically a rear engine. It's a 22-liter V16, so it's already going to be quite massive. It doesn't really matter. So ALSI, magnesium, basically very, very light. Billet steel, lightweight titanium, lightweight forge. So all the best internals, plus 15 quality, because this car is... it's going to be a record breaker, of course. It does not actually need to be dual overhead cam 5 up. That's, you know, that's usually the meta strat for making a very high powered car. That's pretty much like the best strat to do for the most part. But actually the meta strat, and you know, thank you for showing me how you did yours, Forgotten Mustard. So we're actually going to do a very similar build to Forgotten Mustard's 22-liter V16 twin turbo. So he does direct acting overhead cam VVL, which you can actually squeeze a bit more horsepower to that, which is kind of strange. I'm actually not too sure why you can't, if it actually is more efficient at getting more power in the high RPMs. If you guys know the actual reason, let me know in the comments down below. Let's go ahead here and give it around a 90 or so VVL profile up there, and we'll give it around an 85 cam profile. Pretty high compression. Let's go just what, 10, 11 to 1, 11 to 1 compression ratio. Of course, twin turbochargers. We'll do a ball bearing turbo and race tune just by default, just for now. Injection. And just the best of the best here to sort of go through here. Plus 15. Let's give it a 9,500 or 9,000 RPM. That sounds fine. Let's give it a max fuel mixture. Dual exhaust. Max exhaust. And then nothing for any mufflers. So right now the engine's not really going to run because we're just giving it tons of fuel and it's actually not working. Let's give it a massive intercooler. About 6,500. So right now, 2,700 horsepower is pretty impressive. It's not the most ever, but it's pretty impressive. We're going to go ahead and just make the turbine a bit smaller. So we're already at 3,800 horsepower. Again, pretty impressive. Higher turbo quality there. And let's give the air ratio, I think, higher as well. So there's 4,100 or so horsepower. Again, pretty good. Not too bad. Let's go ahead and actually lower the ignition timing. Let us play with the top end a little bit. No, we're losing a bit of power there. No. Let's go. The compressor needs to be max sized. The turbine needs to be a little smaller. And air ratio, we can just sort of play with that a little bit and try to squeeze some extra juice out of that. So there is 4,200 horsepower. We need to get to 4,700 horsepower at least. So we are a little bit off. Still not the record, but we're still going to keep tinkering with it. I'll come back to this. We're going to pass it, I promise, guys. I promise we're going to pass 4,725 by at least a few horsepowers. So this is the Gme V1 Body. We'll come back to the engine after. I'll show you guys after once we actually achieve it. This is the Gme V1 Body. If you guys don't know what this body is, General Motors actually made an electric car in the 1990s. And it was a really, you know, a melted cheese wedge kind of car. It was ahead of its time for sure, but they actually recalled the car and crushed them all because they just didn't want to do EVs. I'm not too sure the exact reason. I don't think GM ever said why, but they crushed them all nonetheless for the most part. So rear-wheel drive, of course. Now it's going to be a 4-speed dual clutch transmission. It's going to be actually, I think, a 2-speed sounds reasonable for a drag car. I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure they just have a 1-speed transmission, the actual Top Fuel dragsters. I think we'll have a 2-speed transmission, possibly. I'm also, again, not really an expert on Top Fuel dragsters in general, so I don't know a ton. I just know they're incredibly fast, and they are also incredibly badass. So let's go to electric LSD, because that's going to be helpful for the racing, probably. Even though maybe like a manual locking diff would be better, or automatic locker, but that's fine. Semi-slicks, I'm going to go ahead and give this thing a pretty wide bulge on the side here. So 395s in the rear, and we'll give it like what, the smallest in the front, 85s in the front. And now this doesn't actually matter as much, so what we're actually going to do is delete the entire body and chassis. And for the photo, at least, we're going to delete the tires. For the photo, we'll delete the tires. I'll probably make my own custom tires for the photo, for the thumbnail. But for the actual drive, it's going to be like this long, not too much longer. The turbos are, they stick up the side of the chassis. They touch the ground, probably, basically. So carbon fiber wheels, max size rear, tiniest size front. Let's go for 1 piston carbon ceramics in the front. And let's just go for like 6 piston carbon ceramics in the rear. Max size, max pad type, max quality. And let's give it no under tray for now. Plus 15 quality. 1-seater. Plus 15 quality there as well. No power steering. We'll give it ABS just because I kind of want to stop in the quarter mile if we can help it. But if not, it's not a huge deal. I just like to stop if we can. So let's just do a race tune by default. So right now, under 3,000 pounds with over 4,000 horsepower. So to put this in perspective, guys, the Koenigsegg 1.1 has a power to weight ratio of 1 horsepower per kilogram. That's pretty good. We have got substantially more than that. This is like a what, a 2-to-1 power to weight ratio? I'll do the math after this, after it's tuned and everything's said and done, but right now it's an incredibly high power to weight ratio. It's unlike any car ever. So it is rear-wheel drive, but we're still doing a 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds, which is pretty decent, I feel like. That's kind of a reasonable 0 to 60. We'll give it like just a normal spacing, sounds fine. So what we're going to do, I think, now is actually design the car. I'm going to tweak the engine too in my time-lapse. I'm going to tweak the engine and design the car to look like a Top Fuel dragster style-ish car. It's not going to be perfectly accurate, but it's just for fun. So we'll do that in a quick time-lapse. Sit back, relax, guys, and of course, I hope you enjoy. So we are starting the build for my dragster vehicle. I did retune the engine a bit to get 4,730 horsepower, so a really quick tune at the beginning of the time-lapse. What I'm doing now is just sort of getting rid of everything on the car. We're going to try our best to make this thing look like a real dragster. It's not going to be to scale, because this body's wheelbase is quite short. The body is quite short, and I don't want it to stretch too far past the body, so I've got this sort of cockpit setup going on with very small front wheels and very large rear wheels. I have placed a supercharger above the V16, and obviously there's twin turbos on the V16, but the supercharger looks hella cool, and actual dragsters would probably have a supercharged engine. Basically just sort of doing a bit more on the cockpit, adding a roll bar. We've added the windshield, and I'm just trying to find out how to make the cockpit look perfectly fine and blend in perfectly, and I do just change it a little bit with some straight edges and stuff. It's looking like a dragster, a bit of a short one, but that's totally fine, in my opinion at least. Looks pretty cool. Adding these insane 16 exhaust pipes, a front wing, a steering wheel, now adding our little driver helmet and stuff, and we're adding a giant wing in the back, and a few details here or there. I added just a quick fuel cell where I think the fuel cell might be going. I'm not too sure, I'm not really an expert, but it looks fine, I think. Adding some details to the guy. We are adding some decals now. We got Part Hub, U-Lube, SocialNet, Bremmy, Tyrelli, and etc, etc. Changing the color, adding a few more decals, and in front of us is the 2020 Red Rocket 22-16. Alright guys, so like I said, this is the Red Rocket 22-16, 22 being the liters approximately, and 16 being the cylinder count. So it's a pretty porky car. We have tweaked a few things here or there. Let's start by looking at the design first, then go back to the engine. So let's actually hide the wheels, suspension, and everything else basically. So a couple things actually before we even look at the design. In BeamNG, I have it imported in BeamNG. It's tested, it's ready to go. The only problem is I do hide the wheels. But for some reason, the front, I think it's front right tire, or the right tires, the front right and the rear right tires don't disappear. I don't know why that is. The left ones are gone, and like it's just one piece of code for front and rear, so it's not separate. I don't know why it doesn't work, but it's fine. The car looks a little bit weird to BeamNG. It looks like it's got 6 wheels, but that's okay, I suppose. So let's hide them now. So, and this also stays there pretty well, and I just can't get rid of it, but it still looks cool. It's a 4-speed dual clutch gearbox, which is obviously not realistic, but this thing is quite fast in the quarter mile. We have changed it to a manual locking differential. Electric LSD, it sounded fine, but no, it was not fine. We do have some downforce now, a fair bit. We've got, just about 10,000 pounds of downforce at peak top speed, which again is pretty reasonable, I'd say. The engine, 4,730 horsepower, obviously. Tweaked the VVL, we tweaked the cam profile, the compression ratio, so it is pretty much at the highest horsepower you can get. If you guys could actually get more horsepower, and I did think of a way, someone actually mentioned a way how to probably get more, if we actually use the campaign mode to build an engine in there, then you could probably use your tech points to give you an extra 15 quality, which would probably give us a fair bit more horsepower. So I could test that out in the future, but for now, 4,730 is the most without sort of gaming it in the campaign mode. We also have 315s in the front because this thing is all-wheel drive, which again is not realistic, but a rear-wheel drive mid-engine dragster in BeamNG is absolutely terrifying. It took hours and hours and hours of testing to get this thing to actually work properly. So I think that's all that's left to do is to hop in BeamNG. We are going to do a 0 to 60 test, a quarter-mile test, maybe even a full-mile test if it doesn't run out of fuel in the full mile. I also want to just give it a bit of a drive and see how it drives. Again, spoiler alert, it drives like absolute dog poop. Let's hop into BeamNG and see how the Red Rocket actually drives. It's gonna be absolutely insane. Alright guys, so we're finally in BeamNG.Drive with the Red Rocket, and it looks decent. The decals looking fine. The wheels you can see here, so the right side, for some reason, they just don't disappear. If anyone actually knows what the reasoning is, let me know in the comments down below. I'm just curious, because I just couldn't get them to go away however I tried. So the car works fine in BeamNG. The front does scrape a little bit, but that's totally fine. It doesn't actually really affect its speed or its handling that well. It's due to the front wing being so heavy. It's only 40 pounds or so, about 20 kilograms, just to keep the front end down a little bit. So it's a little bit bottoming out. As you can see here, the front wheels are actually lower than what the tires would sit at, but that's, again, fine. It's fine. What we can do is probably a 0 to 60 test if we want to just here, but this is not on paved surface. It's not the best surface for 0 to 60 times. So 2.5, all-wheel drive, but spinning a ton. If we actually go back and lock the front and center diff at least, let me try it. 2.3, we can do much better on the actual prep surface. Let's just see how it drives at first. You know what, let's just see its top speed actually, might as well. So the tires are popped. Right about 420 airspeed, and we're up gas. So I only gave it 10 liters of fuel, so we burned through 10 liters right there. Let's try one more time actually and not launch. Let's try a little bit slower to conserve fuel. Oh yeah, it's pretty quick. There's half the fuel tank already gone. 10 liters of fuel in a minute. Not even 30 seconds it's gone. So about 450 kilometers an hour top speed before we run out of fuel. This thing can do obviously a bit more, but that's what we got up to. The brakes are actually terrible, but it's not bad. It can handle actually okay. If we didn't actually lock the front diffs, it could probably handle okay. No, it does not handle. This thing does not handle. It doesn't handle. Let's hop into a drag race. Let's see the quarter mile, 0 to 60. Then we'll do a 1 mile drag race to see what we can do in 1 mile, maybe if we can. We'll see. We'll hop into the drag race and see what we can do. And finally, we're at the drag strip. We're going to do a quarter mile, 0 to 60, proper 0 to 60 this time. It might not be perfect because how the drag launches in this game is not perfect for 0 to 60, I feel like. But we'll do it anyways. We'll try. We'll launch it. I'll lock the front and center diff and launch it for max RPMs. My steering wheel is shaking very, very angrily. But first try, 6.2 in the quarter mile. 6.2. My record is 1.6. We'll try one more time because that was so darn fast. 6.2 seconds. I don't even know what the 0 to 60 was, actually. I didn't actually look. .4 seconds to 60. So again, it's a solid 6.2. We popped our tires. All of our tires got popped there. So my second fastest time ever. 0 to 60, 1.4 seconds. That's crazy. And we're gonna crash. Let's just go free roam here. Oh, it's slow-mo free roam. Interesting. We're out of fuel though. Oh, look at that tire. Oh god, look at the tires. Oh god, they are shaking very oddly. Oh god, they're disgustingly shaped. Okay, is it just... Okay, this is the same thing. Let's try actually. No, we don't want free roam. Let's actually try again. But this time it's going to be the highway strip, which is around a mile or so. We'll try that. So this is about a 1 mile or so stretch, I think. Don't quote me on that. Let's just lock the diffs again and go for a bit more of a casual run here, because I don't want to run out of fuel here. This thing only has 10 liters of fuel. Oh god. It's very hard to drive this car, clearly. It's so not good for this. Let's go first person, actually. Okay, we're gonna run out of fuel probably before we hit the finish line. Oh god, it's sketchy to drive. Out of fuel, out of fuel. Oh, come on, let's get her. We missed it! We missed it! No, that was 20 seconds. Oh my gosh, one more time. That was not my fault. We'll try it again here. Oh. Oh no. This thing is actually kind of stable at high speeds, but yeah, not really. No, it's actually pretty bad. Out of gas. 20.2. We'll take that. That's obviously my record by a good bit. 20.2. Definitely one of my fastest cars. Definitely my fastest car on this highway strip. Let's take it to the jump arena. See what this thing can do for a jump and finish off with that. Okay, guys, we're at the jump arena here. It says don't take it at more than 200 kilometers an hour. Yeah, we're not gonna follow those rules at all. Let's just jump it as fast as physically possible. Finish off with that. I'll leave a link to download this car in the description below if you guys want to download the highest horsepower car in automation currently. Oh, the tires are popped. 400 kilometers an hour. Oh, the wing. Oh god. Oh, what happened to the physics? Oh my god. The wing instantly flew off. It does weigh 20 kilograms though. So that's pretty heavy. Let's try one more time. Let's try a little bit faster even. Let's just try it like this. Let's try right here and launch. Let's launch it actually. Let's actually lock the diffs. That's fast. Tires are popped. We're pulling left a little bit. We're good. Again, 400 kilometers an hour. Oh god. This car is not meant for the jump arena. Not bad. There's Sub Bay. We got our little decals there. Beautiful. And we got our pilot Bob. Our driver Bob is doing just fine. You know, having a little bath in the pool. We're going to finish off here. That was the Red Rocket 2216. If you guys want to download it, link is in the description. Before we finish off, I just want to give a quick shout out to the channel members. Childish Sin, Jay, DD Man, and Ruben. You guys are all super awesome for supporting this channel with the Quad Turbo rank. Thank you guys so much for your support. I guess, and as always, everyone, I will see you guys in the next video.